Ghost Rider issue number 6. This is from Marvel Comics. Before I get into it, I just want to apologize for not having any videos up the past couple of weeks. Basically, I injured my back really badly, and I've basically been bedridden, and it's a bit better now. But now that I'm actually able to sit at my desk, I got some projects that I gotta catch up on that I wasn't able to while I was injured. So yeah, that's why I haven't been getting any videos out. But I have a little bit of time, so I'm gonna try to get this one out. Anyways, enough about that. You guys don't you guys don't care about that. You guys are here for the reviews. So Ghost Rider number 6. This takes place after the Ghost Rider one shot. I forget what the hell it was called. It was basically where Johnny Blaze takes over Hell, and that issue itself followed up. I think it's called Ghost Rider Damnation or Road to Damnation or something like that. The basic plot is Johnny ends up in Hell, and then he's trying to escape, and every time he tries to escape, he ends up just being like a trick. Like he can't get out of Hell, and then eventually he decides to take over Hell instead, and he becomes the king of Hell, and that was the end of the one shot. So now Johnny has escaped from Hell, and he's gone after Doctor Strange to get Mephisto that Doctor Strange had hidden in prison, basically. And now we have like basically two subplots. We have one with Johnny trying to fix. Basically, when Johnny escaped from Hell, a bunch of demons followed after him. So now he's trying to get all those demons back. Meanwhile, Lilith is trying to take over Hell because now there's like a power vacuum with Mephisto gone, and with Johnny, who took over Hell, gone. There's no leader of Hell, so Lilith is trying to take over it. Meanwhile, we have Danny, who's just having so many freaking issues, and he's kind of becoming this, not the spirit of vengeance, but the spirit of corruption. So yeah, I guess we can get into it. First off, this cover is not that bad. I mean, it's better than a lot of other Marvel covers. At least we actually get a hint of what's going to go on in this, which is Johnny Blaze versus Doctor Strange. And that happens very, very briefly, like literally like a page or two of actual fighting. Well, actual fighting, I'll probably just say a page. It's mostly just talking. But at least we have a confrontation, right? I will say this, so what is up with Mr. Strange in this cover? That does not look like Mr. Strange. That looks like the love child of Frank Castle and Jonah Jameson. Does Doctor Strange have like a dad bod in this? Like I said, I'll give the cover props for like actually having like an action-packed cover and not just like a pinup or like all the other Marvel comics where it's like selfies or just kind of people just kind of like a portfolio piece. Like there's actually like, you know, action going on and stuff. But and Johnny looks pretty badass, and I like the chain and all that stuff. But Doctor Strange himself just looks weird. Like he looks like the pose is weird, the dad bod, the face is all kinds of off. So anyways, we have Frank Castle, we have the Caretaker, we have Wolverine, and then we have Danny, who is now like the spirit of corruption. He looks so lame, I'll be honest with you guys. Like I really don't care for this design. I like the idea of the spirit of corruption, even though it's kind of the same as the spirit of vengeance. So basically, Johnny stabs Frank Castle with a sword, and Frank Castle doesn't die or anything like that, because basically what happens is when you get stabbed by the sword, you feel you feel the pain of all the corruption that you have on you, which kind of just reminds me of the Penta's eyes that the Ghost Rider has, where you just basically look into someone's eyes and then you have them experience the pain of all the like sins and stuff that they've committed on others. And I guess this is just when you get stabbed by the sword, you feel pain from all the corruption that's inside of you. And if you have a lot of corruption, if you're like a corrupted person, you basically die. Of course, Frank Castle doesn't die because he's not corrupted. But like that idea it's kind of interesting. I mean, it's basically just another version of the Ghost Rider. I mean, there's no difference between corruption and vengeance. And I mean, in terms of this, like in terms of the way the story portrays it, there's really no difference between the stare and the sword. Um, but I will say like, the design is just really weak. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe something just a bit more badass, like maybe something. When I'm thinking like spirit of corruption, and I'm thinking, I mean, Ghost Rider works with hell, right? So I'm thinking, okay, spirit of corruption has got to be kind of somewhat demonic looking. I mean, even in this, we have like the little devil horns on this helmet. Maybe something a little bit more like medieval Spawn would work. But this is just, it's just a dude in like spandex with a cape, and then just a little bit of metal here and there. Like it's just not doing anything for me in terms of the design. But anyways, he stabs Frank, and then Wolverine gets pissed off and attacks him, and then Danny just kind of starts putting his powers onto Wolverine, and then Caretaker gets involved and basically has them break it up, and then Wolverine just kind of drops it all together, like pretty quickly. I'm like, dude just stabbed Frank Castle and he just burned your face, and then you just kind of like, oh, okay, I guess I'll stop because he didn't mean to do it. All right, so what are we gonna do about Johnny? Like, I don't know, it's just weird, but I really hate Danny. Like, here's the thing, I'm not the biggest knowledgeable dude when it comes to Ghost Rider. I read the very first, not even Ghost Rider issue number 1, but Ghost Rider before it. He had his own series back when it was like Marvel Spotlight, I think it was called. This is like in the 70s or whatever. I read all those with Johnny Blaze, and I read maybe the first 5 or so issues of the very first volume, and then I read the little mini series. I forget what it's called. I want to say Road to Damnation, but the mini series that ends with Johnny Blaze going to hell, and then the mini series where Johnny Blaze is trying to get out of hell, and then obviously I read where he kind of temporarily escapes, and then he's taking on Danny because Danny has gotten like corrupted or whatever by his spirit of vengeance, and Danny's basically going around hunting all the other Ghost Riders and killing them and taking their powers, and he sees this as basically like a blessing. Like, he sees the spirit of vengeance as a curse, which I found very stupid, because wasn't the whole thing about Danny was that he didn't see it as a curse? Basically, Danny didn't see it as a curse, right? That's what everyone's been telling me. That it was weird that Danny all of a sudden sees it as a curse, because he never saw it as a curse before. But anyways, he sees it as a curse, and he's going around and he's killing all the Ghost Riders. And then at the end, Danny is like, oh, I was wrong the whole time, and he's like easily forgiven. And it's like, dude, you just went and murdered a bunch of people. You murdered a bunch of innocents. You murdered a bunch of innocent good guys who are like caretakers of their country and stuff like that, because like Ghost Riders were all over the world, and like they had families, they had villages that they were protecting, they were like heroes, and Danny just went and like murdered them all, and he was just kind of like easily forgiven. Like, everyone's just like, oh, whatever, let's move on. And anyways, in this series now, Danny's like a drunk, and he's so freaking broody, and I find him so annoying. Like, I hate broody characters. I can't stand them. That's why I hated Batman. Batman's just so freaking melodramatic, constantly depressed and shit, or at least that's the way that a lot of comic book has kind of portrayed him. Well, Tom King especially, but like he's always kind of seen this as like dark and broody character. It's why like I was always like Team Spike with Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I hated Angel. Like, I hate those characters. They come across so freaking whiny, and that's Danny. Danny's just a whiny alcoholic, brewed piece of garbage, and I hate him. And the fact that this series gives him so much like screen time annoys the hell out of me. But basically, they're trying to find Johnny because Johnny's becoming corrupted by the Ghost Rider power, and it's like, we just literally had this storyline with Danny. Like, can you guys come up with any other storylines? Like, we literally had a storyline where Danny got corrupted by the spirit of vengeance and was going around murdering innocent people. Now we have Johnny Blaze being corrupted by the spirit of vengeance, and he's murdering demons at the moment, but he's also like attacking friendlies because he's starting to be so corrupted that he's like becoming the devil himself. And I was like, that storyline would have been interesting if you literally didn't just do that with Danny. Like, you literally just had a storyline with Danny being corrupted by the spirit of vengeance. Now you're doing it with Johnny. It's like, come on, man. Come up with something a little bit better. But yeah, Danny, like, he transforms back and he just whines some more because he has no control over this new power. And he's just a sad sack. I'm sorry. Like, I really hate sad, depressing characters that, like, it's like we're supposed to pity them. It's like, I don't want that in my hero. I want someone who, like, I don't know. That's why, like, I loved Rebirth. Like, Rebirth wasn't so, like, freaking melodramatic and depressing and stuff. But we're kind of getting that with Marvel, at least with the Ghost Rider series. Anyways, Johnny has Mephisto, and Doctor Strange basically teleports him into this world so that he can confront him without getting, like, any innocence involved and stuff like that. And they just have, like, a back and forth about Johnny being pissed off at Doctor Strange for leaving him in hell. And it's like, you know what? I mean, Johnny, you actually make a lot of sense. Like, Doctor Strange, like, abandoned you in hell. And even though Doctor Strange says, oh, you know, I was always, you know, planning on getting you back. It's like, dude, Johnny was in hell for a really long ass time. And Doctor Strange did nothing about it. Meanwhile, like, he's pissed off at Johnny for making deals with Mephisto. And it's like, Doctor Strange literally just made a deal with the demon so he, like, for his hands, like. But yeah, we have a confrontation. Ends pretty quickly with Johnny overpowering Doctor Strange, and then there's a little bit more. I'm not gonna spoil it, but yeah, overall this series it could be better. It's not terrible. I mean, I like Ghost Rider. I'm gonna keep reading this, but I hate Danny so much, or at least I hate all the depictions that I've seen of Danny. I despise. He was either a villain murdering innocent people or he's a whiny alcoholic. Like, that's basically been my only introduction to Danny. So obviously, I'm sure, like, anyone who has more knowledge of the Ghost Rider series will be like, no, Danny's actually a really cool character, and, like, you know, here's all these cool stuff with him, blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, I mean, I'll take your word for it, but it's just my experience with Danny. He's just the worst. Like, I hate him. And meanwhile, it's like, you have a storyline that could be cool if you didn't literally just do it with someone else. Like, you literally just had the same storyline with another character, and now you're doing it with Johnny. It's like, can we come up with any other storylines with the Ghost Rider other than, oh, I'm being corrupted by the spirit of vengeance? Can we have another storyline other than that? But yeah, anyways, tell me what you guys think. Anyone following Ghost Rider? Anyone have a different take than me? Like, what do you guys think of this? Is there any comics out there that you guys would recommend? Speaking of, I mentioned Spawn earlier. I'm thinking about getting into Spawn. Like, Spawn has always kind of interested me. Like, he's interested in me, but I've never just really gotten into it. Is there any, like, storylines that you would recommend that I jump into? Anyone who's currently reading Spawn, is there, like, a jumping on point for someone who has no knowledge of Spawn that they can jump into and not be completely lost? Because I mean, I would pick up the latest issue, but I don't want to, like, waste money on an issue and just be completely lost. So is there, like, any jumping on point that you guys recommend? But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Please tell me what you guys think, and hope to see you guys next time. Later.